Madam Mayor, whenever you're ready to start.
Monica, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Did you turn your speaker too low?
I'm sorry, Monica, did you say yes?
Yes, whenever
Okay.
you're ready.
Sorry, wasn't unmuted.
That's okay.
Okay, we are now called to order. Welcome, everybody. Roll call, Monica.
Councilman Wickenhagen?
Yes, here.
Councilwoman Matson is not present. Councilwoman Vargas?
Here.
Councilman Peterson?
Here.
Councilman Bell?
Here.
Councilman Costello?
Here.
Councilman Carlson?
Here.
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Matson notified us last week that she would be out of town on vacation this week and unable to attend council meeting.
Okay, thank you.
I move to excuse Councilmember Matson.
Thank you, Russ.
I'll second.
Thank you, Cliff. Been moved by Russ to excuse Councilwoman Matson, seconded by Cliff. All those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and
and
to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Dear Heavenly Father, I pray over this council meeting and just ask that these council people would be blessed and there would be wisdom in the decisions that are made, that your will and your hand would be over the city and our community. And just that this time would be a blessing to all. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Katie. Agenda changes.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, Russ.
Roger.
Roger, sorry.
I would like to make a motion to add an executive session, 45 minutes, per RCW 42.30.110 sub 1 sub G, to review the performance of a public employee, and ask that only council members, the mayor, and the city attorney attend that meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Roger. Public appearances, introductions, presentations. We have none tonight.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
Councilmember Bell made a motion. Do we have a second by another
I'm
council
sorry.
member?
I'm sorry. Councilmember Bell made a motion for a 45-minute executive session. Do we have a second?
It's Kevin, I'll second.
Thank you, Kevin. We have a motion for a 45-minute executive session by Councilman Bell, a second by Councilman Wickenhagen. All those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? It passes, Monica.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Public appearances, we have none tonight. Katrina, I believe, is on vacation. Getting to know our businesses, we have none. Communications. Mr. Case.
We are presently conducting the regular meeting portion of today's session. State law does not require a non-charter code city such as the city of Selah to allot time for public comment during a regular meeting between the mayor and city council. Historically, the city has chosen to allot time for public comment during its regular meetings, subject to a maximum of 2 minutes per commenter and common sense standards of decorum. Recently, those standards of decorum have been increasingly infringed. Those wishing to offer public comments during a regular meeting must comply with the following process and standards. Each commenter must state his or her full name and whether he or she is a registered voter residing within the city limits of Selah. Each commenter is limited to one comment and a maximum duration of 2 minutes per regular meeting. A maximum of 30 minutes per regular meeting will be allotted for all public comments. Comments must be constructive and respectful. No profanity, insults, defamation, or direct or implied personal attacks will be allowed. Criticism of city policy is allowed, but personal criticism of any individual is not allowed. The public comment process is not a question and answer process. Also, each commenter should speak solely for himself or herself rather than purporting to speak on behalf of others, repeating verbatim or nearly verbatim what another commenter has said, or repeating what a written document says. In-person comments will be heard from the podium in the order offered by commenters, and during the COVID shutdown, written comments will be read aloud in the order received by city staff, and telephonic comments may also be heard. The mayor may cut off any in-person or telephonic comment that he or she deems inappropriate, and city staff at the direction of the mayor may disallow or modify any written comment that is deemed inappropriate. These standards are subject to revision. Those who infringe the applicable standards may be barred from offering public comments during future regular meetings. Public comment during regular meetings is not the exclusive method to communicate with the mayor or city council on any topic. People may send emails or letters, leave voicemails, or request in-person meetings to or with the mayor or any member or members of the city council. The mayor and each member of the city council has personal discretion over how and when he or she might respond to emails, letters, voicemails, and requests for in-person meetings.
Thank you, Mr. Case. Monica, do we have written comments tonight?
There was one written comment that will not be read aloud.
All right, thank you. Proclamations and announcements, we have none. Consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion without discussion. Should any council member request that any item on the consent agenda be considered separately, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and become part of the regular agenda.
I move we approve the consent agenda as read.
Thank you, Cliff.
I'll second that.
Second.
It's been moved that we approve the consent agenda by Cliff, seconded by Roger. All those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? It's unanimous. Monica, please read the consent agenda.
Approval of minutes, May 11, 2021 council meeting. Approval of claims and payroll. And resolution N2, resolution to declare the well number 7 redevelopment new pump installation project as complete and accepted.
All right, thank you. Public hearings, we have none. General business. Mr. Henney.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Item M1A is pertaining to the city's 6-year transportation improvement program 2022 to 2027. And it is an informational item. I'm just bringing this forward to you and council members to review the list that we have put together, and we will be bringing to you at the first meeting in June and asking you to adopt the 2022 to 2027 6-year transportation improvement program. Attached is a list of the projects 1 through 10, and there's a map attached behind that, and then there's a copy of the draft 6-year transportation improvement program form. So I just entertain any questions, but basically it's just so you guys will know what is on the list proposed for this year and what will be coming to you at the next meeting.
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Council, you have any questions of Joe? Mr. Bell.
Yes, Joe, I'd like to ask on the item 6, which is the Natchez extension to Rushmore. Will that include potential for the future plan of possibly extending across the river to where we won't have to redo that at that stage, or not?
Well, it'd be interesting to see what the request for funding brings to look at that extension. And by 2026 or so, I guess, the city may just need to move forward with this. And we should be able to incorporate that, or at least a good portion of that design into that, so.
Cliff?
I had, on, I need my glasses. Item number 3, transportation analysis, and number 4, the pedestrian bicycle path study. Those are like 2 years apart, proposed schedule. Do they, it seems to me that wouldn't they overlap enough that it might be more efficient if they were done at the same time? Or is the path program significantly different than transportation?
At this time, I'm not aware that both of them could be done only because funding has to be separated. I could do some checking on that and see if anything's changed, but yeah, the pedestrian and bicycle path studies are typically recreational in nature. I know it's changing and so it's becoming a mode of transportation as far as the bicycling. So just how we have it lined out. It doesn't mean if we decide we can combine them, if that's allowed. It depends. We're probably going to have a lot of our own city's money into this, so that gives us a little more flexibility.
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Under old business, we have none. Resolutions, Mr. Haney.
Okay. This item N1 is a resolution authorizing the Public Works staff to apply to the Washington State Department of Commerce for the Public Works Board for funding for replacement of water service meters. The water system plan that we've been talking about and working on for a little over a year now, going on 2 years, has been submitted, if you remember right, to the Washington State Department of Health. Washington State Department of Health is still reviewing it. They told us a while back they were going to be a little tardy in their response that they thought they were going to be. So when that does come back, they'll be asking council to have a study session. We'll get into it and we will ask you to adopt it. However, the Public Works Board is requesting or going to be open for applications for funding for grants, or excuse me, not grants, but for loans for projects. And for what I'm seeing and hearing, that if they program all the money that they have available this year, then they may not have any money available for next year and won't be seeking any loan applications. That being said, then that would put this project out 3 years. So we would like to make a loan application and proceed with this project. And the project is to replace the existing meters that we have with what they call radio controlled meter reading, AMRs, and move towards that. I've talked about it in the past. It's a radio read system. It goes and downloads into a computer up at City Hall. That's what we're proposing. And from that point there, the public will, depending on the system we go with, but most likely the public will be able to access their account, review their water consumption, review their history, once we start getting some history, to see how their habits are affecting their consumption and therefore their bill. and make payments and whatnot all by the internet. So we would like to move forward with this. We're talking about a 2-year, maybe a 3-year project. Things have come a long way. Batteries used to be like a 10-year battery, and then you had to go out and replace them all. We didn't want to sit there and replace. I think right now we got a little over 2,200 accounts. We didn't want to replace them all in 10 years and have to do that in one season. So we want to stagger this program out a little bit. So that's what I'm requesting. Requesting to move forward with this project, even though it's in the list of the draft water system plan.
Kevin?
Joe, is there going to be any problem with staggering it out over 3 years, depending on the loan? Will you have a time
No,
frame?
we checked with them and they said that that could be a 3-year construction project. So they don't have a problem with that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for forwarding on that email a while back.
Council, do we have a motion?
Madam Mayor, move to approve the resolution as presented.
Thank you.
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve the resolution, and we have by Kevin, and we have a second by Roger. Roll call, Monica?
Councilman Wickenhagen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilman Peterson,
Yes.
Councilman Bell,
Yes.
Councilman Costello. Gotta unmute, Mike.
I think he's frozen.
Maybe.
Yes.
And Councilman Carlson.
Yes.
Unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank all of you for supporting these 3 projects I had on there. Appreciate it.
Ordinances, we have none. Public appearances, we have none. Reports and announcements. Let's start with Chief Lang.
Good evening, everybody. So since we last spoke or met, the fire department has been very busy. We had a structure fire on the 14th, which was in the county. We had a fatality motor vehicle accident on the 15th, which was also in the county. We had a structure fire on the 15th also, which was in the city. We had a brush fire on the 16th that went about 100 acres between us and Glebe, which is in the county. And then just yesterday, we had another fatality motor vehicle accident, which was also in the county. So we've been pretty busy with some fairly not common events. Also, since we met, the county fire commissioners had a meeting, and the radio users group was granted $100,000 from a little over $100,000 from the state budget. And we've matched that with our funds to get radio upgrades and repairs that were needed to be made going, got that started. So our repeater sites and our radios would work well throughout the county. And then you should have seen, if you haven't yet, the 2020 annual reporters in your mailboxes, and I tried to email those out to you also. So that's all I have, unless there's any questions for me. No? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Chief Lang. Mr. Henning.
Yes, thank you. Oh, I don't know. We just got a lot of things going on. The general crew has been busy cleaning streets, parks, flushing sewers. We've had a few minor water leaks, and so we're dealing with that. We received design funding obligation for the West Fremont sidewalk. So you'll be seeing a task order pretty soon to begin design and surveying for that. That's from Fremont, from 1st Street to 4th. As far as projects go, we just wrapped up well 7. Again, thank you for approving that. We have started surveying. We put a little informational item on the city's website to discuss the Natchez sidewalks and the project limits from Weenas or SR 823 to South Second, there just by the old fire station. Oh, the Crusher Canyon sewer and the downtown sewers. We had some design meetings again today with HLA, and we went over a few hiccups we are having on the downtown sewer as far as trying to get funding through the DWSRF and trying to work out logistics as far as when to be on Natchez with the sewer, which is on the south side of the road, when we're going to be tearing up the north side of the road for the sidewalk on both of Natchez. The right of way for South Third Street, like I said, the obligation came in for right of way acquisition. We're in the process of working with the county for that. You'll be seeing a interlocal agreement to you at the next meeting in June for the interlocal agreement, and hopefully a task order with the county as well. We can do them both. We can get them both done. And we will be going out to add hopefully Friday for our crack sealing program, which will be crack sealing Crusher Canyon from approximately 4th Street there by Lent School out to the current city limits, which is out there by the that subdivision on the left out there. And we want to do West Fremont from 1st Street to 4th Street, crack seal that as well. So yeah, we've got a lot of projects going on and it's plugging along. So if there's any questions for him. All right, well, thank you.
Oh, Cliff?
Last week when I went by Lentz, there was a lot of standing water in the roadway by, not Lentz, by John Campbell construction area, as if one of the storm drains was blocked. Is number one, is that by design because of the construction? And number,
that's on 1st Street?
Yes, on 1st Street. And are we getting to the point that that 1st Street portion of that project is going to be happening soon? Do we have a schedule when that's going to be?
Well, first to deal with the storm drainage, there are fabric structures inside under the lids of these catch basins, which is supposed to collect and strain out materials that get on the road. You know, even though they're trying hard, the contractor not to bring mud and stuff onto the road. So that does impede the flow into the structure a little bit. And I didn't have it on my list. I forgot about that. But today, Mr. Jones and Mr. Taylor and myself met, and along with HLA, met with the contractor for the school, and we received a draft construction schedule. After our meeting, they're going to make some adjustments to that, and once we get something solid from them, we will post it on our webpage. But if I remember right, they're starting, I think, June 7th, I want to say. And that will start on 3rd Street north of Bartlett. And they're going to put a water line on Bartlett, or excuse me, on 3rd, and then also then east on Bartlett to 1st Street. And they'll get that in, and they'll do the water services for the lots adjacent to that. We talked to them. Mr. Jones will work with their contractor to get a notice out to the adjacent property owners, and we'll probably, we might call them, and then also door hangers to notify everybody. So once the water line's in and the services are done, they will then do the storm sewers, and then we'll most likely pave North 3rd Street down to the Bartlett intersection, and they'll just patch Bartlett where the water line goes in, because that is scheduled to be ground and overlaid, I believe, next spring of 2022. The school district didn't want to overlay that road and then risk the damage or scuffing or whatever marring of that road from construction activities, because that's when they'll start, I think, the demolition of that portion of the project. So. Any other questions?
That covered it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Mr. Peters.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Planning Department is working with the Public Works Department and our Planning Commission to go over and take a look at some development regulation changes to maintain stormwater on the subject new developed lots due to oversteeping driveways and other features. So we're exploring those. We've only had about 2 different meetings, and we're not probably going to get through that until probably closer to the end of the year, as we still have some additional research to do and bring to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission next week is going to be hearing a short plat application for 4 lots just over near Lyle Loop Road. And that's it for the Planning Commission. As staff-wise, we're working again with Public Works on getting the capital facility plan and comp plan element to out for environmental review and then to you for adoption. That will probably be sometime in July or August, depending upon when the folks that are doing the reviewing of that get back to us. So, and then also we've opened up the comprehensive plan map amendment and rezoning process for this year. So as of this past Tuesday, applicants can now bring in applications and submit applications for comp plan amendments. It will be open until next month. And then we'll close it and start processing any and all applications that we receive. In talking with the city administrator and some of the other members of city staff, we're probably going to be putting together a comprehensive plan, a map amendment process for the city property where the new police station is being proposed to make the zoning conforming with the use. Other than that, we're just business as usual, a lot of building going on, regardless of the cost of lumber, it seems. And then working with Public Works on making sure some of these other projects move smoothly and we get all of our environmental documents done and things submitted to you folks. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Peters.
Welcome.
Chief Chrisman.
Good evening, Council, Madam Mayor. I have been at the Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs conference this week, and a lot of discussion around proposed changes to policy with regards to all the legislative changes that have taken place. Just recently, the governor signed a number of these bills into law. So we're specifically talking today about training and education, also with regards to use of force. And tomorrow will be a very big day with regards to the changes in police use of force. And so I'm looking forward to that discussion. I'm not sure if you know, but I run the Yakima County Officer Involved Shooting team. and give direct oversight to that. And so it's going to be particularly important to us to understand the state's going to be setting up an officer-involved shooting team that potentially will come in and take over those investigations. Some they will, some they won't. They've been a little fuzzy about what's going to be their criteria, but we look forward to knowing more about that. You know that we've hired 2 new people, and they're in week 4 at the Basic Law Enforcement Academy over in Burien, and they're commuting back and forth on the weekend. They're doing a great job. One of our new hires was elected class president, and so he's got a little added extra leadership over there. Bradley McNerney is his name. Some of you may recognize him as one of our previously employed reserve officers. If you've been by the police department, you'll see that they've been painting, and the owner of the building and joint with the city was able to secure a facade grant. And so I don't know that the colors changed very much, but it is a fresh coat of paint. All of our staff is healthy and accounted for, which is good. Some of the things that I kind of want to plant a seed for you that are big hot topics in law enforcement right now, and I suppose that we'll start having some of these discussions, include body-worn cameras, how we deal with and interview and process juveniles in the future, and then again tomorrow, big day for use of force applications and documentation, and now having to report directly to the state every time those sort of things happen. So a lot of foundational stuff going on at the PD, and it's change. It's change. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Council members, Councilman Bell.
I only have to report that the Law and Justice Center committee will meet again on June 3rd, 9 a.m. So that's it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Costello.
No report.
Thank you. Mr. Carlson.
Katrina with the Selah Downtown Association asked me to report on her behalf. She's attending her son's birthday party, so she wanted me to let you know that the rummage sale they had was a huge success. So hopefully that will create more beautification projects around town in conjunction with the city. Cleanup day was amazing. Over 65 volunteers from the community. There was some city staff. There was some church congregations. There was just random people who all came in and participated. So that was quite impressive, and we're grateful for all those volunteers. The Sip and Stroll is scheduled for June 19th. It is the same day as the Hot Rods on First Street, and it is scheduled to start just an hour before the end of Hot Rods on First Street. So they'll overlap, and the hope is to draw some of those participants of the Hot Rods on First Street into that Sip and Stroll as well. And they do need some volunteers to assist at this point with that Sip and Stroll, and you can talk to Katrina on that. And then tickets are up for sale right now on even Eventbrite through the Facebook page or the Selah Downtown Association website, or just straight, you can just call Katrina on it. That's all I got.
Thank you. Councilman Peterson.
I just want to wish everybody a happy Memorial Day, and as we celebrate the beginning of the summer, to actually remember what the holiday is about, and that freedom isn't free, and that to take some time out this weekend to remember and honor those men and women that gave the ultimate sacrifice to defend this freedom that we enjoy.
Thank you. Councilwoman Vargas.
I have no report.
Thank you. Councilman Wickenhagen.
A couple weeks ago, attended the ribbon cutting open house for the new convention center in Yakima. It's quite impressive. It's now the 4th largest convention center in the state, the 2nd largest in east of Cascades. So it's got all the projectors in all the rooms. For even the smaller rooms have screens and projectors built into the ceilings. So it's an impressive convention center. They're going to be able to hold a much larger groups of people. Their next project is going to be, they're looking at trying to expand the parking, because they did take away quite a bit of the parking when they expanded it, about 30 or 40 slots. So they're looking at that area across the way of using all of that. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Case.
I have no public report.
Mr. Wayne.
No report.
Thank you. Okay, we are now going to go into a 45-minute, I guess I should do a report. I just want to remind council to notify Monica about the AWC conference. It's probably the last year that we don't really have to pay that big fee to go. So it would be nice if we could get some more council members who have not attended to attend it. It's all Zoom meetings, and they're quite interesting. You learn quite a bit from them. And the other thing is to remind council members to come in and sign your paperwork for Monica. We're going to take a 5-minute break and go into, before we go into our executive session, if all of the panelists or all of the attendees would sign off, we will be back in 50 minutes.